Hello everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of The Gift of Giving. My name is Stephen Murray and I'm the host. And if you are tuning in for the first time, just like to share with you that this program focuses on and features organizations that are non-profits, 501c3s and foundations. These are the people who are giving back to our community and making our life and world a better place. This week's guest is certainly no exception. I'd like to welcome to the program Chelli, and she is the CEO of There Is No Hero in Heroin. This is an amazing organization and you've got a tough uphill battle. So welcome to the program, Ari.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And please give us a brief overview of the organization and when it was founded.
Sure. The organization was founded about 11 years ago. It was really kind of birthed through a big tragedy. The founder of the organization was someone who was in a 12-step abstinence-based program of recovery. He was about 17 years into his recovery process, where he learned that his son had been using heroin. And he felt at that time that there weren't resources available for him, and he felt, being someone attached to recovery, that he should know what to do, and it kind of dawned on him that if he didn't have any idea what to do, then other parents who were not in recovery must be completely clueless on how to help their kids, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately, he lost his son to his son's addiction, and so this kind of organization blossomed from this very horrible tragedy.
Wow.
His son was 18 years old.
Oh, good grief, that's way too young.
Mm.
Well, I'm certainly sorry for the founder's loss, but what a wonderful tribute he's paying for his son by founding this organization and helping hundreds, if not thousands, of others in their journeys that are going down similar paths. What made you actually get involved in the organization? What made you pick out? You're the CEO, so there's lots of organizations out there. What made you choose There's No Hero in Heroin?
So I'm a clinician by trade. So I had been working in substance use field for quite some time. When I decided to go back to school to get a higher licensure, I didn't think I would come back to substance use. I thought I might work in kids trauma, and I did for quite some time, but I just felt like I really missed the population. It's very the sadness is very deep, but the happy times are extremely happy, and watching
Yes.
someone change their life is very powerful. And so I just always kind of felt like I was missing something. I myself am a person in long-term recovery, and so I felt, having the book knowledge but also having firsthand experience, that my skill set was a little bit different, and
Sure.
it was a disadvantage maybe to not work in this field. You know, it's a calling. It's truly a calling.
Yes.
And so it's kind of like when you know you are meant to do something and you're doing something else, there's always this voice in the back of your mind that's like, are you going to go back? Are you going to go back? And so so that's how I ended up kind of getting back into substance use and working at There's No Hero in Heroin, and it's been an incredible experience.
It's, well, it has to be. And yes, there are highs and lows in the job, there's no question about it, but it's amazing that your life took that path and you've landed up where you're at. Would you say that we are winning the war on heroin or addiction as a state, and indeed even as a country? No, or is it hard to say?
I think it's hard to say. I think one of the problematic issues we have is the metrics that we measure success. It's very specific to a behavior as opposed to someone's overall well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we know about change clinically, I mean, and this is heavily researched, change is not necessarily the absence of the behavior altogether, right? It's kind of a gradual process. It's definitely not linear. But a lot of the times the way we judge success is based off this very linear concept of change. And so when I have a client, when I am working specifically with a client, I care about, are we increasing your ability to connect with other people? Are we increasing your ability to experience joy without using substances? How do you feel about your friends or your family or your parents or your children? Do you know how to make yourself happy? Do you have tools? Do you know what to do when you're sad? And so we look at these more, or we attempt to look at these metrics a little bit different than most people and than most other agencies. So I think if we looked at things in that perspective, we could get maybe further along than saying, oh, this person, relapsed. And so does that mean all of the treatment doesn't matter? Did they not learn anything, So I think we need to refocus. And other countries are doing this. Australia just made, they just made it as part of policy that any agency who's receiving government funding for mental health has to use this very specific tool. And when you look at this tool, it was created by Dr. Hancock in Sydney, Australia. She's at the University at Sydney, and it measures wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness. And we believe at TINHIH that the opposite of addiction is not abstinence, it's connection. And so we need to start gearing our success measurements based on that.
I think there's a very, very valid points that you've raised there, Ari, and I think you've probably educated a lot of people out there today, because they make sense now you've explained it, but I wouldn't have thought of it in the light that you presented it. So I think they're very, very valid points that you're making there. Let me ask you this. You say there's no hero in heroin. Are you getting calls about other drugs like fentanyl, and do you help those people out, or are you totally focused on heroin?
Yeah, so, and this is something that I get asked a lot.
Yes.
So we are a treatment provider for all substance use. So we take anyone who's struggling with substance use disorder or substance misuse. And so anyone, if it's amphetamines, if it's benzodiazepine, if it's heroin, if it's fentanyl, so alcohol, any substance that someone is struggling and it's interfering with their life in a way that they define as negative.
Gosh, well, it's nice that you've expanded the umbrella from the
Sure.
original focus, and you're not turning other people away with other addictions that they're struggling with. It's nice that you're helping those out as well.
Sure.
I see you have 2 outpatient services, and one's intensive and the other's regular. Let's talk a little bit about the regular outpatient services a little bit, and then we'll talk about the intensive.
Sure. We offer outpatient services for adults and for adolescents. And so what outpatient service means is you can go and see a provider, a clinician, 1 day a week. It could also look like maybe group attendance, but it's a certain amount of hours of service, and that's defined by what the ASAM criteria is, which is a medical tool in which we measure. And so that service, roughly, you want it to be under 9 hours for adults, and you want it to be under 6 hours for youth. So that would be for outpatient services. So
Okay.
a lot of the times our kiddos are attending 1 group a week and 1 individual a week, and maybe that group is 2 hours. And then for our adults, they're attending maybe 3 2-hour groups a week.
Gotcha. And the intensive?
Right, intensive outpatient, that's now we're getting more specific. So intensive outpatient services, what that looks like is usually 3 groups a day, and or 3 groups a week, I'm sorry. Oof.
Oh, that's all right.
What intensive outpatient services looks like is 3 groups a week, and for adults that'll be 3 3-hour groups, and for adolescents it'll be 3 2-hour groups.
Gotcha. Wow. We're going to take a little bit of a sponsorship break, and when we come back, I'd like to talk a little bit about the alternative peer group that you have.
Great.
And please stay with us. We're going to take a little sponsorship break.
Debt ceiling, presidential elections, government shutdown. conflicts in Europe, conflicts in the Middle East, global pandemics, interest rates, inflation concerns. Markets go up and down for reasons that nobody can control. Don't let the volatility of the stock market determine the quality of your retirement. Having the right financial strategy in place can make all the difference. I'm Joshua Dowden. Here at Lucia Capital Group, our bucket strategy has been helping people for decades work towards accomplishing their goals through careful risk management, and we can help you too. Our bucket strategy approach matches your assets to your liabilities in short, medium, and long-term time frames to help reduce volatility and potentially maximize your performance. You've worked hard to get to where you are now. Your financial plan should work hard for you in retirement. Call me today for a free consultation, 702-508-6421. That's 702-508-6421.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the program, and I'd like to thank Chelli for being with us today. She is the Chief Operating Officer of There Is No Hero in Heroin. And my apologies earlier, I introduced you as Chief Executive Officer and your Chief Operating Officer. My apologies for that, Ari. And I hope the Chief Executive Officer will forgive me.
I think he will.
And I'd like to thank Joshua Dowden from Lucia Capital Group for being a sponsor for this program and for all the help he's given me in the past financially. So we'd like to talk a little bit about the alternative peer group, and we have a video that we pinched from your website, and we'd like to show it to our viewers. Let's turn around and have a look at it.
My name is Giuseppe Mandel. I'm the manager of Alternative Peer Group. Alternative Peer Group is like a peer group all ran by their peers. So the goal is that they come through the system and then they end up coming back and then guiding their other peers in.
Does APG cater to
anybody that's at high risk? High risk in like possibly addiction or disruptive family or going down the wrong path. So basically positive peer pressure versus negative peer pressure. I mean, it's the same group that would be in the negative peer pressure groups that are now focusing on the positive.
you say the strategy of APG would be then?
Kind of like an outside the box positive peer pressure. So you're going to peer pressure into the right direction. Somebody that can relate to the people going down the wrong directions, but they made it through a good group of support and they're going and doing positive things. Intervention, early intervention, prevention. I mean, days with fentanyl, they don't have the opportunities that I have. I mean, you're not going to have the opportunities to maybe be influenced doing marijuana or some bad things. Nowadays with fentanyl out there, you don't have the opportunity to even experiment with cocaine or experiment with meth and do it a few times, or even do it a bunch of times, become an addict, go through hell and then end up making it. Now with fentanyl, it's over.
Wow. I thought that was a pretty powerful video that you have on your website there about the alternative peer group. And looks like you have several recovery programs within this alternative peer group.
Sure.
And I'd like to talk about some of them if we may. The first one is community reinforcement. Would you like to talk a little bit about that program?
Sure. So what we do with the alternative peer group model is we really try to take pillars from the community and kind of introduce our youth. And so I think the most important piece in that programming is that we have great relationships with people, businessmen, people who do art, people who maybe do studio design and setup, and we try to really lean on them to help our youth so that they can establish kind of some type of inspiration of where they want to go with their life. And we know if we focus more on those things, that the using substances kind of becomes less attractive.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And it's great that you have all these organizations that you can reach out and rely upon to give you that support. Yes. And are you looking for more of these leaders all the time?
Always, always. And the reason why it's so important that we have a large pool to kind of pick from is because our kids change.
Of
Our
course.
kids are different, and sometimes kids are really into theater, and then sometimes we have kids that are really into MMA, and then sometimes we have kids that are very into like finance and wanting to start businesses. And so we need kind of a wide pool of people to pick from so that we can help
Sure.
everybody.
Sure. That makes sense. And actually, afterwards, you can talk. There are a couple of organisations that
Yeah.
you might want to reach out to. Overdose Prevention. That program's got to be particularly tough, I would think.
Right. So with overdose prevention, all of our participants that come through our program, they all have access to Narcan. They all have access to fentanyl test strips. They all, most of our participants, especially our youth, all of our youth know how to administer Narcan. And then we do trainings in the community. So recently we did a training at UNLV. And that was a really great turnout. We had a lot of students, and then we also had medical residents that attended the training. And so, we're available to be of service at any point. And when we are considered a distribution site with the state of Nevada. So if anybody wants to come in and receive Narcan or be trained on Narcan, they can come in during regular operational hours. No appointment needed, no names, no questions. Get your training and be on your way.
Another great program. And now you have family groups. Before we get into the family groups, do most of your calls, are they initiated by the parents of teenagers? Is it mainly the parents that reach out to you and say, we need help, or?
So it's interesting because a lot of the times I've never even met our kids' parents. They kind of like drop their kids off. But then we do have other parents who kind of, are the catalyst for their youth signing up with the program. Most of the time we get referrals from schools. A lot of times we get referrals from schools. A lot of the times we get referrals from the Harbor, which is a diversion program for adolescents.
Yes,
So instead of them getting some type of criminal charge or misdemeanor, they'll come and hang out at our programming and receive services with us, and that will, it depends on what program they were assigned to, but it's in lieu of getting some type of juvenile record.
Wow. So I suspect from what you're saying, the family groups, you would wish that more families would be involved in.
Yeah, so with the family groups, we had family groups up and running, and now the biggest family group that we actually have, sadly, is the grief group. So we have a parent grief group for, and for not just for parents, but for siblings too, and anyone who's lost a family member to an overdose. And that happens on Saturdays. And then they're doing, I know this sounds kind of strange, but they're doing this, it's kind of like a cathartic mission that they have right now that they're working on, where they're making tombstones to bring to DC for the National Mall, so they can put them and create this pathway of the kids. And we at the agency TINHIH is going to bring those tombstones to DC so we can be represented. So Nevada youth that have lost their lives can be represented.
Wow.
So they're doing their own kind of trying to find their way,
Right.
and try to make sense of this, very, very unsensical,
Sure.
situation.
Well, the program probably hits home too. A lot of people.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm still, I'm pushing 40 and I'm still burying friends, and it's just been, it's difficult. It's been really
Yes.
difficult.
Yeah. I admire you for what you're doing, because it's not an easy task that you've taken to a path. You have a yoga program that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, so again, we really are trying to address this this disease with all different kind of levels of activity. And so we have our yoga lady, Michelle. She's incredible. I've known her for a really long time. Actually, before I was even a clinician, I knew her. She used to come into the treatment center I was a behavioral tech at. And so she does 12-step yoga, she does trauma-informed yoga, and she's incredible. And so we offer that to the youth, we offer that to adults. And so this kind of trying to get people to feel good about themselves in this more organic way.
Whatever helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever helps and whatever works,
Absolutely.
And And now you were telling me before the program that you have a new program started up, a sober living for adults.
Sober living for adults, right. So we are, and if we look at what they call the continuum of care, we're kind of the very last stop on that block. So what that means is someone who, let's say, would be chronically homeless, they go into services, they go into detox, then they go into treatment, and then maybe they go into 2 other levels of care. Maybe they go into what's called partial hospitalization, then they go to intensive outpatient services, but they have no home, right? And so where are they going to discharge to the streets, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's going to be very difficult to maintain recovery when you're homeless, right? Because you know, maintaining recovery is not a priority as like shelter and food, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of where we step in and say, you know, if you're someone who has been through the continuum of care and is interested in continuing recovery, you can come stay at our homes. And they're in residential communities. They're beautiful homes. One of them has a pool. We did a barbecue with all the houses met last week on Saturday, and they did this barbecue, and they had groups all day, and they kind of, so not all of the people know each other at the different houses because they're at different parts of the valley. So it's really cool when they all come together. And so we do services for them in the home. We offer them clinical services. We offer them what's called targeted case management. We are set up with a lot of other nonprofits in the community that do vocational trainings. And so we hope that by the time someone has about 4 months, that they're actively securing a job, they've already had a resume, they've kind of gotten over any angst that they would have about re-entering the workforce. And then by the time they have 7 months, towards the end of our program, we expect them to have first and last months and to launch into whatever phase that they will, either that's going to be living with another member from Sober Living and they'll move out together, or they'll go to another kind of communal housing situation where they pay rent. But for those 7 months, we don't charge anything.
Another very, very worthwhile program.
Mm-hmm.
When we come back, we're going to take another little brief sponsorship break. When we come back, I want to talk about equine therapy.
Sure.
That sounds very, very intriguing.
Yes.
Please stay with us. We'll be right back with Chelli in a few moments.
Introducing Pacific Coast Capital, your partner in finance. We provide financing for your business. Speed, flexibility, and creativity are the foundation of our service. We'll help you navigate through change and opportunities. Our 90-plus years of experience ensures quick turnaround on loan decisions. Ride the wave to prosperity with us. Ready for new funding? Visit our website today at pacificcoastcap.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to thank Pacific Coast Capital for sponsoring this program. Without our sponsors, we would not have this program at all. So I thank you very much, and I thank Chelli for coming back and being our guest today from There Is No Hero in Heroin. I mentioned before we went to the break, equine therapy. I was very intrigued by that program. So would you like to share a little bit about that?
Sure. Right now it's summer, so the horses don't go out in the summer, but we take our adolescents to go to equine therapy once a month. And so this is a really good way for them to experience things that they might not have access to. Most of our youth that come to us are from lower socioeconomic status, and so we provide this service for them, and we provide transportation. We usually feed them, and then they have this great experience with horses. And so this is something that this group of kids really enjoys this time around. Right? So again, it's always a subject to what the kids say they want because it's their peer group.
And it's once a month?
Yes, and they go once a month. Mm-hmm. And then we have a calendar that's on our website, and you can kind of see what days the events are happening. We also offer adventure therapy, and we do that twice a month, and they go out with a licensed clinician, and they can go rock climbing, they might go kayaking. I think last time he took them to EA Sports, EA Sports was like the big sports hall for gaming. So, we really try to kind of infuse these clinical experiences in these very novel ways.
So, another cool, you're certainly giving these individuals and teenagers or young adults lots of opportunities to see how different their life can be, and you're to be commended for that.
Absolutely, and we do have a wilderness camp that we do. We're getting ready to go the first week of August. And so our clinician that does adventure therapy, he takes them, they used to go camping, but now they're glamping. They go to this very nice place, and there's a pool. And I was like looking at the pictures last year, and I was like, I should have volunteered to go. But no, they had a great experience. And when the kids came back, they were like, we've never had any kind of experience like that before. And so that's really what it's about. It's just, I think sometimes, especially when you're in active addiction or when you come from a certain type of family system, it's really hard to see what's outside of your purview, right?
Yes.
And I mean, even in any system, right? In any system. So it's good that we get the chance to kind of shake the tree and
Yes.
see their eyes open. So it's nice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably some of the rewarding
Oh,
parts
yeah.
of a very tough job.
Mm-hmm.
Noticed on your website too, you have a memorial page. That's kind of heartbreaking too, to see the memorial page, but gives comfort and relief to those who have signed up for it. How does that work, and is there an application form that somebody has to fill out?
Sure. So they can go to the website. It's TINHIH.org. And if you click on the memorial tab, there's a little kind of the very first thing that pops up is a submission form. So you can submit your picture. We have lots of pictures on file, but because we do have parents that send it into us throughout the years, and we did make a memorial video for those who have been lost, and it's on our YouTube channel. We actually commissioned the song by a local singer here, so it's completely 100% owned by TINHIH, and really truly it's owned by the parents who made the submission and the family members who made the submission for their individuals.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Very, very touching. Fundraisers. Do you have any fundraisers? I see that you have high stakes poker. You have got an aim for recovery competition.
Right, so we try to mix it up, right? So, but our one that's coming up soon will be the golf. So golf is September 7th, and it's at Boulder Creek Golf Course, and you can find links to that also on our website. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy going. I'm not a golfer, but I enjoy going to the event. It kind of feels like a big family, because we're all uniting for this cause, and so I always do enjoy going.
Good. And I guess you also get money. You have a gift shop too, where people can go and buy gifts. What particular items do you have for sale in your gift shop?
So we have a lot of
T-shirts
swag,
and
a lot
caps
of swag, a lot of T-shirts, caps. We have a backpack, which I'm gonna get because I love backpacks. I always wear backpacks, but I do need a There's No Hero in Heroin backpack. We do have mugs, so it's just a small little gift shop, but. And then all of our events we do also have their own unique swag. So if you come into our office, we have a large hallway of all the events we've done throughout the years, and all of the posters are kind of up. And it's just a really, really nice feeling to see all the support the community has given us. It's been very nice.
It's nice to have that community support. We hear that all the time about how the community gives back and gives out. It's heartwarming to know that we live in such a giving society.
We really do, and Vegas
Yes.
is really great for that.
It truly is. It truly is. How do you get your funding? Do you get government grants or corporate sponsors or individual donations?
So a mix of all of those. So we're one of the only agencies that I'm aware of that receive funding from federal block funding for prevention, treatment, and recovery for all three pillars. And so we have programming that we run based on all of those three pillars and based on those grant fundings. And then also when someone is doing clinical services, we charge the managed care organization, so we charge back Medicaid. We take Medicaid, only take Medicaid, all of the Medicaids, but only Medicaid. But if someone came in and wanted services and didn't have Medicaid, we would still offer them services for free, of course, yeah.
Yes.
So that, and then we have a few contracts with the city, with the harbor. So we're kind of trying to diversify as much as we can, but what we really need, we need kind of just people that are willing to donate, either consistently or make, a yearly donation. So we really are looking for that, because those funds, a lot of times food is not covered because there's so many government programs for food that we can't really offer our kids food. And it's difficult because it's a barrier, because they need their parents to get them food, right? So and a lot of times we're working with kiddos that have parents who are really busy, or parents who don't really watch over the kids, or there's a mix of all of those things. Or maybe there's 10 kids in the home, and the food is not enough. And so usually none of our funding covers food, and we want to feed our kids every day. We want to make sure they go home with food. And so when people give those donations, we can what we call unrestricted funds, we can use those funds for food.
And which brings the perfect point of where you can give out your website information and phone number, where people can go and check and find out. I'm sure you've got a tab there that says donate. If people want to donate, they can certainly go to your website. So please give us out that information.
Sure. So if you want to visit us and donate, you can go to TINHIH, TINHIH.org, and there's a donation tab there. You can also shoot us an email at info@TINHIH, TINHIH.org, and so we'll respond right away with ways that you can volunteer, ways you can be of service, ways you can donate.
Okay. Well, I think you're doing amazing work, and thank you for everything that you've brought to this organization. Thank you for agreeing to appear on this program today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you, Ari, and keep up this fantastic work that you're doing. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you. This has been great. I appreciate you.
No, not at all. You've been very welcome. And I'd like to thank John Stars, our show's producer and owner of WWDBTV, for allowing me to host this program. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Pacific Coast Capital and Joshua Dowden, Lucia Capital Group, and my business partner, RJ Champion. You'll hear his message right at the end of this program. I'd also like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in and listening to this program. I hope you will join us again this time next week. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at stephen@thegiftofgiving.vegas. In the meantime, please stay safe, have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Mr. R.J. Champion is proud to sponsor WWDB-TV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.